the other hand, you think, well, liberal arts college, emphasis in the arts in Santa Fe, New Mexico. You'd have to be brain dead not to make that work. My name is Robert Jessen. I teach political science at the College of Santa Fe and chair of the Liberal Arts and Interdisciplinary Studies department. How I got to the College of Santa Fe? Well, what happens in academia, if you're a professor, is it's market forces that bring you someplace. Once you get your PhD, and I got my PhD in 1996, you go on the market and you go wherever there is a job, and you can't choose if you actually want to work in that career. I saw that there was a job opening in Santa Fe, New Mexico. Now, how exciting is that to be a college professor trying to find a job anywhere, and one opening up in Santa Fe, especially since my wife is from Chihuahua and I'm from California, so it's pretty close. So I applied for the job. I was third or fourth, I think, on the list. The first two people decided not to take the job. And I got called kind of late by Richard Bank, my colleague here, and came down to the interview, and then they offered me the job. And I took it. Felt a little bit like I'd grabbed the brass ring, because so many people would love to live in Santa Fe but can't afford to. And I did it. I got the job. And I earned tenure. I didn't publish. I taught a lot, did lots of program development and those sorts of things, created the National Parks program. But now, 10 years from then, now I'm back on the job market with still no publications, because I didn't have to. Not only did I not have to, but you don't get time or support to actually try to publish anything. Plus, I had a new family, so no publications. And I'm on the market. Well, when you want to get a PhD, I mean, setting up your life around the career of PhD is you're really excited about ideas. A life that revolves around ideas is your #1 priority, rather than how much money you make or where you want to live. So you just go where the jobs are. And what do you know, the job isn't in Santa Fe anymore. And then it becomes a tricky situation, because, you know, my family like it here, so they ask me, well, why don't you just get a job here? And I have to say, well, that's not who I am. Well, my wife says that she's not moving anywhere in the United States. She's going to stay here, so I guess that could be emotional stress. So it might end up being a 2-city family. You know, I teach politics. I teach Mexican politics. I talk about horrible things in class all the time, drug trade, and all this is a college closing down, and life being destabilized a little bit. There's no chance I'm not gonna not be able to eat. You know, I teach about peasants and those sorts of folks who do have questions about eating food. So you just have to keep perspective. Think that you're lucky and good things will happen to you. You know, in terms of leaving friendships, once you get to, if you are a bourgeois, especially if you're an academic bourgeois in the United States, your life consists of chapters. So I have friends from Wall Street, I have friends from Maine, where I taught high school there for 3 years, I have friends from Chicago, where I got my PhD. I have friends from Billings, Montana, where I taught for 2 years. I have friends here. I have friends from high school. You know, it's just part of the American bourgeois experience that you create community here, and then you go on and you try to create community someplace else. One of my options is going to Californian community colleges, because as you get older, you know, my whole family is in California, both in the Bay Area and Los Angeles and in between. So someplace close to them is what is more important to me than staying close to other friends. Kinship, family, you have kids, your parents are getting older, you wouldn't mind living close to your mom or to your dad. So those are the sorts of questions that that help me decide where I'm sort of focusing geographically for a job. The college owes me the money for the job that I've done. That's what they owe me. In terms of anger at the college failing, I don't feel any anger at the college failing. So we're a tuition-driven institution with no endowment. You can't survive as a tuition-driven institution in today's educational environment with no endowment. Even the endowment ones in this market are having problems. What we got as presidents were normal people. What we needed was a messiah. It's hard to find a messiah. Just ask Monty Python. On the other hand, you think, wow, liberal arts college, emphasis in the arts in Santa Fe, New Mexico. You'd have to be brain dead not to make that work. The campus is not a beautiful campus. We don't have a student union with lots of stair-stepping machines and rowing machines. We don't have a pool. We don't have sports teams anymore. We tried, but that was probably too little too late. So in terms of the hyper-competitive market for students today, we really had a very small niche and couldn't get all the critical mass of students that we needed to survive. This is probably the big critical mistake, was that in an attempt to try to survive, we leveraged ourselves with bonds to make nice buildings, get technology in the classrooms. If you build it, the students will come. Leveraged ourselves, students didn't come, and the interest rates on the bonds went way up and pushed us over into the insolvency, land of insolvency, which then brings us to where we are now, closing. I don't think despair is productive. I don't think anger is productive. I've been telling my students in class that it's very difficult to understand and to evaluate things that happen when they're happening, and that what's going to happen to students is they're going to transfer to another school. You go to another school, and what happens? You meet Bruce, and Bruce is the love of your life, and you never would have met Bruce if the College of Santa Fe hadn't closed. Thank God the College of Santa Fe closed, and I got to meet Bruce. That's how life unfolds. So that's the perspective I'm trying to give students in my class. And then in terms of attitude in my class, I think, well, you know, we've taught here for a decade. This is the last class I'm going to teach at the College of Santa Fe. This is the last group of students I'm going to have at the College of Santa Fe. That's special. That's the end game, but it's also sort of the swan song. So what kind of attitude are you going to bring to class in that sort of context? A woe is me kind of attitude, or hey, you know, this is a unique time and a unique situation. Let's remember it. The real loser in terms of the people paying the cost for the college closing is the local community.